Let's have a look at Justin Baldoni's Human Design Bodygraph. There's a couple pieces I wanted to point out today that can help explain maybe where things went wrong on the It Ends With Us set and help us understand Justin on a deeper level. And if Justin, you're watching, my schedule is always open to fit you in for a human design reading. Now, Justin Baldoni is what we call a generator, and he's a sacral generator. So that's his inner authority as well. So his strategy, how he makes decisions, is waiting to respond. His signature, if you are a generator, your signature is going to be satisfaction. Now, how we know we are on track and feeling satisfied is at the end of a workday, you go to bed and it's that deep exhale of, oh, man, I used my energy in a way that's aligned today. So, one of the things that Justin would be asking himself if he's following his human design is the decisions I made today in my life, my business, how I used my sacral energy. Does it feel good, satisfying in how I used it? Or am I more frustrated after the day? His authority is a sacral. And keeping in mind, he's an Aquarius as well. I have a video up on Aquarius sun signs and medical astrology. Something to keep in mind with that, I'm just going to interject that here. I wasn't going to talk about it on this video, but let's go for it. Why not? Something to keep in mind in regards to an Aquarius that is a generator, sacral authority, is that long-term frustration, right? Because a lot of generators are living with that long-term frustration. Oh, and I just realized I have this t-shirt over my mic stand because my parrot keeps sitting on there. So I apologize. I forgot to take it off. So that long-term frustration for an Aquarius will lead to chronic health problems, back problems, depression, anxiety, addictions, nervous system dysregulation. That frustration is so important for an Aquarius to pay attention to because it's easy to ignore. But we have someone as a generator, an Aquarius, you're not really dealing with day-to-day illness. You're dealing with something chronic because you ignored this, because you ignored the frustration. You ignored that you weren't actually satisfied with how things were going. Maybe with that open solar plexus, you were letting things go because you wanted to avoid rocking the boat, right? Maybe with that open solar plexus, he goes, I don't want to, let's just get this done. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to get anyone upset. Let's just get this movie done. And so that frustration is building, building, and building. And for an Aquarius, that's going to cause pretty significant health issues as well. He's a single definition and his profile is a 3-5. So what we know with that fifth line profile, I have a reel from the other day where I talked about the projection field of a fifth line. And we're not going to get into that today, but it is something that can very much negatively impact fifth lines, especially when it's unconscious. Because on the second side, on the design, so we have the 3 on the personality, the 5 on the design. That means it's unconscious. You're not necessarily consciously aware that you are the quote unquote savior. Now, with that fifth line projection, people are going to project certain things on you. It's almost like a mirror ball. They see what they want to see and they project on you that you can be the savior. They project on you who they think you are. And then when you don't live up to it, they kind of burn you at the stake with a fifth line. Now, that could have gone into the relationship with Blake and Ryan, where they thought he was a pushover. They projected on him because of his faith, because of his spirituality, because of his beliefs and cafe gratitude, that he was just a pushover so they could do whatever they wanted. Well, little did they know he was not going to read their stupid note and statement that they wanted him to read. So there's that projection field as well. The problem is with that projection field is when you aren't who people think you were, they just get really pissed off with that fifth line. They're going to burn you at the stake. And I feel like that's exactly what we saw is he didn't give in to Blake and Ryan and they essentially burned him at the stake publicly. So those are some big pieces on Justin in terms of a generator, but I want to look at these two, what are called channels here. This is the channel of preservation, 27 to 50. And we also have this one here, which is the channel of struggle, 28 to 38. And it's a design of stubbornness. Anything that's defined in your body graph, so if it's colored in, is an inherent strength. It does not mean you are always using it correctly. And that's where a lot of people go wrong is they think just because it's colored in, it's defined, it's a strength, I'm always using it correctly. Not so. That is not true. You can use it incorrectly. So one of the examples Ra Rahu used to always give was with the channel of struggle, 28 to 38. And he said, well, yes, it's a stubbornness. It's a design of someone that knows what's worth fighting for or not. So they can be fighting for the wrong things. And I'm actually going to play something from Justin Baldoni. It's one of my favorite clips with Rainn Wilson in regards to this.
That's great. What next? Where next lies your journey? I've put so much energy into climbing the career ladder and to being enough in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, I think, over this last film that I couldn't, there's never been a way for me to separate my desire to be enough and to fit in this business with the projects that I make. Because, of course, I made It Ends With Us and all these films for a very specific reason, but I also, you know, wanted people to think I was a good director or a good actor, and I wanted my place in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
That's enmeshed with all of it. And I think I've really learned over the course of the last 2 years that it really doesn't matter. And I've been able to, luckily, and it's never 100% pure, but I've really had the great fortune of being able to see that what I thought I wanted isn't what I wanted, and that I have everything that I want. And so my focus right now has been to really show up as a father and as a husband in ways that I wasn't before. And it's little things that nobody cares about, but the things that mean a lot to my wife and my kids. And then trying to be a good friend, showing up for my friends in ways that I've had many show up for me recently, you being one of them. Everything outside of the world the public sees is what I'm focused on right now. And I am feeling so genuinely happy and joyful for the first time in a long time.
Going to the
So this one shows that satisfaction piece, right? He feels genuinely happy, satisfied as a generator for the first time in a long time. Let's flip back to his human design. Going back to this channel of struggle, he admitted, what I thought I wanted wasn't what I wanted. He was fighting to prove that he was a good actor, a good director, that he had a seat at the table in the industry. So this energy here, the channel of struggle, was being used incorrectly. And look at the activations for it. We have 7 activations in different planetary bodies. So it's a very significant channel for Justin's life. Again, coming back to him being Aquarius, generator, sacral authority with the channel of struggle. When you're struggling for the things that actually aren't in alignment for you, your health begins to deteriorate. And it's interesting because you look at him over the course of the marketing for It Ends With Us, he doesn't look anything like himself. He genuinely looks sick. And it seems as though, based on his words here, that ultimately it was because he was trying to prove himself and he was struggling to separate the projects he took on from trying to prove that he was enough. Where we see that come up in his Bodygraph, he also has an open ego. So he's struggling, that channel of struggle, for the things that actually aren't in alignment, to one, not rock the boat with that open solar plexus, but two, with the open ego, to also prove he's worthy. That open ego essentially says to us, I don't know what's worthy. I don't know if I'm worthy. I don't know if anything I've done is worthy. So you go on this endless, in regards to his chart, this endless journey of trying to prove yourself and prove your worth. Therefore, you're struggling for things that were never right for you to struggle with in the first place. Now, the most important piece of this is we look at it connected to the root. Well, cortisol, adrenaline is all associated with the root, and that can massively negative impact an Aquarius again. So I would say that that realization for him is significant. Whether he leaves Hollywood or he has a different role when he comes back, respecting that he realized that all along he was fighting for something that actually he didn't want in the first place. That was a shadow pattern. It was a not self pattern. When we realize those things and we have those breakthroughs, that's to be celebrated because it's never easy to come to those breakthroughs. Now, he also has the 27 to 50. This is a design of custodianship. One of the most important things with this channel, particularly Gate 27, is filling your cup up first. And what can happen with the channel preservation, because it is a design of custodianship, it's a design of taking care of others. But if you're always putting others before yourself, you end up drained. Something I say to my clients all the time, and I'm just thinking of this, that have gate 27 is, how are you going to take care of anyone if you're in the hospital? Well, look what happened to Justin from the stress of It Ends With Us. He ended up in the hospital. So that piece of advice that I say to all my clients in regards to this channel applied to him. And it's something I would have said to Justin during the lead up to him being hospitalized and all the issues on the set. How do you take care of others if you're not taking care of yourself? How do you take care of others if you're in the hospital? So through that, when he finds his fixed patterns, prioritizes himself so he can take care of others, there's actually that creative energy to know what is worth struggling for. And one of the problems with this knowing what's we're struggling for is when we're in almost a trauma response or in a very heightened state of stress and you feel the weight of the world on you. Well, sometimes we can't see clearly to actually know what's we're struggling for because you're under all that stress, you're under all that pressure. And something I say often is when emotions are high, intelligence is low. And it's not meant to be rude. It's just meant to be when our emotions are high and you've got this movie that needs to be done. You've got Ryan and Blake on your case and all this other stuff. They're trying to take over the movie, etc. Now, the interesting thing for Justin as well is he has gate 9. This is what's called a format gate. The gate of focus, taming power of the small, but I want you to see this. The shadow here in design Uranus, gate 9, line 2, misery loves company. The shadow pattern is missed opportunities and depression. So the drive to collaborate that will miss the focus. And how we see that is exactly in what Justin said, where he had a difficult time separating the projects he took on from wanting to be seen as a good actor or a good director. So there might have been this drive to collaborate, which was missing the correct focus. Because when he's actually in alignment, the power to collaborate with others in focusing, the overwhelming need for expansion can lead to errors in judgment. Those errors in judgment, again, coming from a place of prioritizing that shadow pattern of wanting to be seen, that open ego. How do I prove I'm enough? And that is that open ego, not knowing how to prove you're enough and it never feeling good enough. Even if you get the job, even if you direct the movie, even if you make the money, in this shadow pattern, it is actually never enough. And it can show up in different ways in different designs. But it's sad because you're going to have someone in that shadow pattern that achieves all they think they want, and they're more sick, more unhappy than ever before. So overall with Justin, I would be saying, number 1, am I more satisfied or frustrated in how I used my energy today? Number 2, have you found your fixed rhythms? And are you prioritizing your own self-care so you actually have that creative space to know what's worth struggling for and then fight for those things? And the other thing I would let him know is he has the gate 41, the gate of contraction. There's always going to be the limitation of resources, which maximizes the development of full potential. Now, full potential doesn't mean being the biggest director in the world. That is a conditioning aspect that we all get, that to be successful, you have to be a billionaire. It is some people's path to be a billionaire. That to be successful in Hollywood, that you have to be a director of an Oscar-winning movie. Whatever the case may be, whatever stories we have, we all carry stories on what it means to maximize our full potential and what it means to live up to our higher purpose. When the reality is that's something that flows from simply you being you. One of my favorite things whoever said is do without doing and everything gets done. Meaning just be you and everything, every domino is going to fall over that's meant to fall over. And for Justin to get into that next phase, there's always going to feel like a contraction, almost a birthing, right? A limitation of resources with where you are. But that maximization of full potential on the other side of that might be full potential of being the best husband and father. Using, for example, the money that he's made or the money that will be made through Wayfair Studios and different things that he's put in place to care for his family and being there for his family. That could be full potential. Full potential doesn't always have to be the top rung of the ladder in said industry. So that decrease that happened through the movie It Ends With Us and through the set, in my opinion, set him up for the maximization of full potential. If we're willing to sit with it and if we're willing to look at what is this pattern trying to show me? And for him, it seems like he had that breakthrough. He realized what the pattern was trying to show him is that he was taking on projects not because necessarily they were the ones he truly wanted to do. It was to prove himself, to be seen as enough in the industry. So he had that breakthrough. And honestly, it'll be very interesting to see what he does with it from there. Now, I could go on all day about Justin Baldoni's Bodygraph and natal chart. I love the energy that he has. I also love the 3-5 energy. The 3 is all about trial and error. And that's something he's been very honest about, a trial and error process, that he's not perfect and he's still learning. And he even says that in that clip I showed you. I'm not saying it's 100%, but this is what I learned and this is what I'm striving to do. It's such a 3-5 thing to say. And my hope for today was that we could just see a little bit, a peek through the veil, peek through the window on who Justin is and some of the patterns that could have contributed to this desire to be seen as enough in the industry. And with that, my friends, that is what I have for you today. Before you go, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.